Good morning. It is Thursday and I am fired up. Loving the day. Jeremy, always first one. Don't know how he does it, but he is there. My man Josh, the Spielberg of IG. And what's going on? Hopefully everyone can hear me. Brooke, doing an outstanding job. Thank you so much. How's the hair, Jeremy? We got the audio is good. Let's see what's going on. Give me some questions. Samir, I'm fired up like the green wave at a championship game. Sounds solid. Thank you, Star. Thank you, Dust. Team David Meltzer in the house with a new signature. The copy from my boy Gary V. I am a copycat, it looks like. That's awesome. Luminate. It's great. One of the best mentors in the world in this space. I'm blessed to have his help. So thank you, genus. The training, Team David Meltzer, free training, if they could post and pin that with these numbers, that would be better than just the numbers. Awesome to have everybody on here. Let's get this pinned up here and get to some questions. All right. Thank you. Let me know where you're calling in from. Always like to know the worldliness of what we're doing here. Thank you, everybody. We can only get better. Keep looking up, helping through tough times. How do we engage with our leaders when they do not know the game they're in? Well, it depends on what game you're in, right? So, and what leaders you're talking to. My philosophy as a leader, as a mentor, I find the people that sit in the situation that I want to be in, knowing that they have an expertise of the game that I want to be in. I want to play at the highest level in, and the best way is to have a coach or a mentor in that space. So the other leaders that are not in the space that I don't need to be in, I can't speak to it. Oh, you want me to flip the screen? All right, there you go. My first time on here. Thank you. Got it. All right. Well, at least I know how quickly delayed this is. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, everybody. All right, let's get going here. Western Australia's in the house. Thank you, everybody. We'll try to keep this. Let's get some questions going. Give them up. Looking for some questions. Team David Meltzer, here we go. I got it. Flip my camera. We'll go. Activity here. Going live. If you want to go live with me, let me know. Justin Pugh. Hope you're feeling. There we go. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. My name's Richard. How are you?
Very well, Richard. You got a question for me?
Well, I wasn't expecting you to let me come in, so I didn't have a question ready, to be honest.
Can you think of one? What's on your mind?
Well, I asked that question you just read out, actually, about leaders. But I suppose where I was coming from with that question was, if you feel that the people running your organization don't know the industry that they're in, how do you engage with them so you don't fall out with them?
Yeah. So whenever you have someone that you feel does not have the situational knowledge, expertise, or perspective that you share in an industry, whether they're your boss or leader or whoever it may be, how do we align with that? Well, understanding is the tool, right? So a lot of times you may be wrong. And I try to take my position and perspective from radical humility and ask someone to explain to me why they feel that way, and look for understanding. If I still don't agree, I can still share my perspective. And if they don't agree, we can agree to disagree. And I pray for their happiness, and let time tell who's going to be right. Sometimes you're both right. It's just a matter of time, right? Remember, time's a variable that confuses all, because you may be right today, but they may be right tomorrow. And if time is one, then you're both right. So understanding, communication, it's really not that difficult when we find synergistic beliefs. And when someone usually explains why they feel somewhere, there's a lot of credibility, and you can start getting perspective on, oh, I can see why you see that, but have you ever considered this? And it may be nobody knows until time will tell. And sooner or later, the truth always comes out. So thanks for joining me, Richard. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Awesome. All right. Looks like we got a lot of questions coming in. How can we earn his money passively in a time where only innovation seems possible and creation? Look, there's still some gritty opportunities out there. right? I've been doing a lot of different consulting, trying to build MLM space, financial services space, all those different places where you just have pure grit, the must be what you can be attitude. You don't need capital to get in. You need to believe in the services or solutions or products and go ahead and be productive, accessible, and gracious with your time. And you can build a business, detach your emotions from the outcome. Don't expect it to build today. So go ahead and use segmentation, acceleration, and growth in order to effectuate what you want. How are you staying focused during this quarantine? 5 things. I do an inventory of my values. I ask and attract. I ask a series of questions of everyone I meet, how I can be of service or value. And I ask a series of questions, you know anyone that could help me? For example, do you guys know anyone that could help me? I'm building a big group, a collective consciousness of my free trainings on Friday, 11 a.m. And 2 p.m. Eastern time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Then I'm a student of my calendar with that lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude. I study, I pay attention to and put intention to, whether it's my homework, whether it's my family. I put attention and intention to the things I have planned during the day, the things I don't have planned in the day, the white space, the empty space of my calendar, and my sleep. Remember, everybody, the simple rules in life: say thank you every day, drink a gallon of water, and get 8 hours of sleep, or great sleep. If you don't need 8 hours, that's fine. Let's keep it going here. You meditate every morning. Will you explain how you meditate? Well, it's theta meditation is the one that I utilize, trained with Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. It's on YouTube as well. The idea of my meditation is to find my highest frequency so I can raise my awareness so that life seems simple. The greatest awareness I can have is to stay out of the way of my ego. Ego edges goodness out of my life. That's why I'm going to teach ego tomorrow on my free training. That's what I'm going to talk about, getting out of your own way. You are the only one. When you're inspired in spirit, when you're connected to what you want, you are the only thing that gets in your way. You need discipline, strategy, and awareness. Awareness I get through that meditation previously discussed. Great question. Thank you. Let's get some more going here. It's the fast thing. Best ways to expand your network during quarantine. Well, that ask and attract methodology that I was just talking about, the 4th step is do it now, and the 5th is practicing ending fear, by the way. Best ways to expand your network during quarantine. Every single person that you can come in person within 6 feet of, on email, via the phone, and media, radio, print, TV, and social media, you should be asking simple questions, open-ended questions, narrowing them that's closed-ended questions in order to effectuate what value or service you can provide, and then ask for help. Ask them. Realize nobody is a gatekeeper. There is no resistance. Everybody wants to help you. Ask, do you know anyone that can help me? And maybe they can help you, and they become a power sponsor. I can help you, and I know people that can help you. That is the best way every day to expand your network. Let's get another question going here. How to win in hard times and uncertain times. Well, first of all, knowing your values and taking inventory of your values will determine whether you think you're winning or not. I think acceleration, growth, and lessons are the key to winning. So if you're learning lessons, and the more lessons you learn in the perspective of light and love in those lessons that you have, the better off you'll be and the bigger winner you'll be. As far as, I don't believe there's tough times, I believe there's tough people. You can take any day and tell me why it's tough or why it's easy. You can find the light, love, and lessons in any day and be willing to do the work. Physical, emotional, mental, financial work that's needed to be done in order to effectuate what you want. So I'm a big fan of toughness and telephone. Tough people that know how to use the telephone right now are going to find themselves at a huge advantage, not only right now, but in the future. How do we deal with leaders that oversee hard work and operate with favoritism, also have a superiority complex? Well, first of all, I don't think you're a leader if you don't understand hard work and operate with favoritism and have a superiority content. I think you're a boss, right? I think you could be a dictator. Telling people not to do is different. I believe in commanding the universe, commanding a collective consciousness, and commanding the people that I work with. That's what commandments mean: to work with, to collaborate. That's what leaders do. They not only motivate when people need a little push to go out and take a walk, or They're here to inspire you, to get you there through situational knowledge, advice, experience. Motivation wakes you up. Inspiration will get you there. And that's what a leader will do by collaborating and commanding, working with you at the same level, knowing that there is no separation, inferiority, or superiority. Those are all ego-based consciousness. Once again, that's why we're practicing ending fear. That's why we're working with the ego. That's why we have ego training tomorrow, 11 a.m. Come join me. It's free. You're going to learn all about how to get out of your own way. It's all going to go back and be the best advice that you can get and the best training that you can get. Any advice on building confidence, especially in quarantine? Sometimes it builds, but then relapses, plummets. Yeah, everything builds, lapses, plummets. What you want to do is plateau and grow. Confidence is created by three things. One, clarity of what you want. And that clarity comes by practice, by consistent behavior, which causes persistent attitude. So if you have a consistent behavior, you can get clarity by not trusting the faulty senses that you have, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and the touch, or the faulty memory you have. But through consistent behavior, you actually can get clarity on what you want. You balance that daily with the values you have daily, personal, experiential, giving and receiving values. And then you get focused in on it, utilizing all those methodologies of asking, attracting, suiting your calendar, do it now, practicing ending fear. You pay attention to and give intention to the things you have planned and the things that you don't have planned in your sleep. And that's an actual pragmatic formula on how to get confident. If you're not feeling as if you can do something as easily as you can clap your hands, you're not there yet. So then you enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of your potential, because you know in the realm of confidence that your potential is to feel as confident in how easy it is to clap your hands with doing anything else. It's just a matter of time, practice. Clarity, balance, and focus brings confidence. Perfect. I am looking for my dear friend to go live with. And there she is, Courtney, the incredible chef with the beautiful gifts. Here she is.
Hey, good
Hi.
morning.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm so good this morning.
I love it. You're already in the kitchen. What are you baking up?
Today I'm working on a tres leches cake for Cinco de Mayo next week.
Oh my gosh. I saw the funniest thing about Cinco de Mayo. It said something like, what is the world coming to when Cinco de Mayo falls on Taco Tuesday and it's being destroyed by a disease named after Mexican beer? Anyway,
Oh my gosh.
I love the internet.
That it falls on Taco Tuesday. That feels like just, the universe is working in our favor for a little bit, right?
Here comes the big transformation. Absolutely. Speaking of transformations, you absolutely have these fabulous cakes that you make. What are you doing? Are you donating stuff? Are you out there selling them online? How have you transformed your business?
So, gosh, it's a little bit of everything. I don't sell my cakes. I licensed my recipes for a little while last year to a bakery chain out here in Salt Lake City. So there was 5 places selling my cakes, and I would go to their commissary and walk them through the process and taste test and make sure everything was perfect with quality control. I don't have a bakery, but I create the recipes and I share them. So there's a lot of sharing once I make them among my family and friends. I donate them sometimes after a photo shoot to hospitals, to friends, to teachers, and surprise people, because that's.
I think we could auction off. We could auction off a position on your taster list, on your test taster list.
I get a lot of requests or volunteers to come be my taste testers, and I've got 3 in-house taste testers: my husband, my son, and my daughter. And they are fantastic taste testers. I gotta say though, my son, he's 11, is the hardest one to impress, I think. He has always been baking with me, always been in the kitchen. So he really understands my cakes and flavors and textures. And he'll sit there and take a bite like he is the judge on Chopped or something. And he's just, I don't know if I like, and gets really into it, which I totally appreciate. I mean, I want him to love everything I make, but it's fun to see him understand it enough to be able to give me real feedback.
One of the things that I like about cakes is that, you know, unlike soups, like if I was the soup Nazi, you know, the guy with the beautiful, wonderful soup, presentation really doesn't matter, right? You can put it into a cardboard box, and if it tastes good, it's
Yeah.
all about the exquisite taste that pops in your mouth. But it's so much more difficult to cook and bake cakes because there's so many different things. There is the texture could be wrong, and that affects what's going on. Absolutely, the way it looks is what most people, I think, start with stimulating their interest of whether the cake is good or not. So it takes a different type of chef in order to be expert at making cakes compared to, you know, like Ming Tsai, who's, you know, does his stuff. What are some of the background skills that you think have been developed that have made you such an extraordinary cake chef, baker?
I have a love of sweets. I mean, my sweet tooth is the biggest tooth in my mouth for sure. I'm not culinary trained though. I am self-taught, school of hard knocks in the kitchen, teach myself over the last decade just how to do cake, how to make it taste great, just the ins and outs through trial and error. And I think because it's been just a hobby and a passion and I love it, there's just so much appreciation that's developed, I think, for the craft and the art of it as I've tried to teach myself and I've studied and I've just gone through the process of experiencing and putting my mind and my body through the work and getting to understand what makes a good cake. And I mean, it's been over a decade of doing that. And so do I have a particular skill set? I think I've developed one over the years. I think there's the creative side of me that I've always had that's in my DNA. I loved doing art growing up and I loved being creative and always have, and I think I always will. So cake baking and creating feeds into that passion and that side of me that's just in my DNA. But as far as like making cakes, I mean, I really, until I made my first one, I'd never taken a class. I'd never made a cake, but I've always loved baking. And so I think there's something to be said about having just such a great passion for something that can drive you and motivate you to develop the skills that you need.
It's so interesting because so many people would love to take their hobby and make a business out of it.
Yeah.
And I always say there's nothing easy about taking what you're passionate about. And if you can look at athletics is a true testament to somebody can be, you know, in love with what they do, but not able to monetize it.
Absolutely.
How did you take that transition? Because to me, that's the most extraordinary thing. Not to diminish how delicious your cakes are, but it's like a million great ideas out there. It's the person that knows how to monetize it. And yet, you know, you're self-made, you have this persistent resilience that definitely is needed to monetize things, but there's some pragmatic learning curve things. How did you effectuate that side of the business?
Well, thank you. Those are kind things that you said. So the transition for me, because I was working full time, I'm a mom, it was kind of slow at first, but I wanted to do something. I just had such a passion for what I was doing and what I was learning and the way it was making me feel that I couldn't not share that with people. So it was finding the right avenue to be able to share this passion and share what I learned with other people to help build their skill set and inspire them to not necessarily make cake, but do something new and try something different and go outside of their comfort zone in different ways in their life. And so for me, it was like, okay, I need to share my recipes. And so it was kind of a gradual start the first year, just kind of getting my recipes out there, getting my name out there and building a reputation for myself. That's really what I needed to do, was build trust with my, you know, Instagram friends, my followers, that as they made a cake, they loved it. And then they would go talk about it. So there was a lot of grassroots at the beginning. And then I started to teach classes and I was able to interact with people one-on-one, and it expanded the brand in a whole nother way. And then as I saw the desire of men and women to, you know, take on the cake journey too, and to get in the kitchen and try something new and create a new hobby for themselves. And as I was working to do that too for myself, I noticed that the things and the tools, the actual tools I was using, weren't as good as I wanted them to be. And it was kind of like cake. When I first started making cake, it was like, okay, this is really good, but how can it be better? And so then I looked at the tools I was using and I said, okay, these are okay, but how do I make them better? right? And so then I expanded into e-commerce, and, you know, so I think it's a lot of times for those of us who have a hobby and a passion, it's just sometimes finding, you know, a little void in the marketplace, a problem that needs to be solved, and then our creativity and our content can develop and grow from there.
Well, you've done a great job. And then for all the Renaissance moms out there that have so many different things to deal with, this compressed uncertainty and accelerated change for you, and for anyone, with everyone home all the time, what have you done in order to accelerate your business while you're in this period of pause?
So a schedule has been really important to me. I mean, since my business is all online, I haven't had to worry about store closures, and I haven't had to worry about putting any of my employees on pause and holding. I mean, we're still kind of going as is. And I have a warehouse team. I work with a design firm, and they have taken the precautions and procedures that they need to be able to still ship their clients materials safely. So we're still doing that. But as far as the business and what I'm doing, nothing's really changed for me. And I'm so grateful for that, because I still get to go online every single day and interact with my followers. I can still be in my kitchen creating content just like I was before, and I still am sharing that and interacting in a way that I always have been. And for me, I think the hardest part is I've got my two kids right on the other side of this camera at my second island doing their schoolwork. And it's been figuring out, instead of from 8 a.m. till 2:30 when they're at school, and that's really my time to cram in as much work as I can, I don't have that. So we've had to switch things around. And I realized quickly within the first week or two of being shelter in place with my family, my kids, my husband's taken over my office, I'm at the kitchen table now, and I'm in here, that we needed a routine. And I thrive on a routine. So it was just for me figuring out, what's the new routine going to be? What's the new schedule going to be? I still wake up at 5 a.m. every day. The kids are starting school by 9 o'clock. We're hopefully close to being done around lunchtime. Maybe there's a little bit more for my older son. And then after that, they can, now that the weather's nice, be playing outside, and I can get to my work. So it's just been like more of a mental shift for me, as far as, okay, here's all the things I'm going to do. I have a podcast launching next week. I have a second online cake class launching next week. Recipes to still develop. So it's been still just as busy as ever, but it's been nice because I have felt stillness in the early mornings of the hour, and just being here and dedicating 4 hours to them every day.
That's wonderful. And last question, you know, I love people that are thriving during this time, that are glowing when they come on here, that are taking the positive, productive, you know, mindset for what needs to be done. That's why you're where you're at, is no matter what's happening, you would be where you're at. What do you have to say to the people, you know, that are feeling guilty about thriving during this time? And what advice would you give them?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. I think no matter what time of life we are living in, we need to be able to find things that we're grateful for. We need to be able to find moments that we can thrive. And we are in a worldwide challenge and trial that we're going through, but there's different parts in our lives, years before this, days before that this happened, that each of us are going through trials. And even in those individual trials, I'm always trying to look for something that I'm grateful for, something that is a tender mercy every day, something that I do well each day, that I've accomplished. And so I don't think that, you know, I think it's okay that we find the good in these moments, because we need hope, we need joy, we need positivity, or we're not going to get through them and be stronger and better people and have more knowledge of our life and the world around us if we're not trying to look for the good, if we're not trying to thrive, and we're not doing it at other people's expenses. We're doing it, you know, in the midst of it, we're rising above.
Well, you are an extraordinary woman, and you prove to me always that you can have your cake and eat it too. Please put me on your tester list.
Thank you. I will. I'll send you some as soon as I can.
Oh, that's awesome. I always tell people, you know, have a gallon of water every day, say thank you, and get 8 hours of sleep. I'm going to have a bite of cake by Courtney. So
absolutely.
Thank you so much. Keep up the great work.
Nice to see you.
See you soon. Bye-bye. Incredible entrepreneur. If you have not tried her cakes, please check her out. Her podcast will probably be amazing. You can see her amazing personality, amazing attitude. She's just glowing. She gets it, right? My mentor, one of them, my aunt Mimi, used to always say, "Oh, she gets it," or "He gets it. He has it." Ask yourself, what is it, and do I have it? What's my superpower, and am I using it? Go ahead, find that confident superpower within you. And if it's not in a place where you can use it, then move, right? Einstein said nothing happens till it moves. Move. If you got your superpower and you're not using it, move it to where you can use it. It's just a matter of location, not vocation, right? The vocation is your superpower. So make it happen for yourself. Let's get back to questions. Educate and regulate. Here we go. Who is your top 5 rappers of all time? Just watching from the studio. Keep inspiring. Mike Stud. Sugar Hill Gang. I'm old school, man. Dougie Fresh. You would never believe. Of course, the incredible Snoop. Those I'm all old school. And Little John. All of my favorites. But for sure, Tupac. Thank you, Monica. Put it up there. But Sugar Hill Gang was the original. First album I ever owned was Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. And I still know almost every word. Lisa Nichols and I have a great duet that we did for the World's Greatest Motivators. And this just amazing, just to watch how people move and get inspired by rap. I love it. How do you overcome insecurity and fear? That's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow in my free training, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about practicing ending fear. And it is a practice. You will never end it because your ego won't allow you to end it because it won't allow you to get hurt. And we need to distinguish, one, how to identify the appropriate mechanisms of the ego and identify how we can utilize it not to create interference or corrosion to that unbelievable, powerful source of light, love, and lessons that we're connected to, but to allow you to draw from it. Imagine if we could use the ego and practicing ending fear to draw more power instead of creating interference. What you hear is not a test. I'm rapping to the beat. You got it, Blaine. What is the best way to expand other markets? Okay, it's a very broad question. What way to expand other markets? Trying to put it into a context that would help other people. Number one, find and narrow that market. So find your capabilities within that market, that industry, that specific company that are synergistic or supplementary to providing value and monetizing that value. And that will allow you to expand that market with consistent value. More people will empower more people, to do that. So look at how to create a USP. Go ahead and email me. That's a little bit longer technical. Does humanity make you successful? Humility does. And humility is part of humanity. Humanity is the collective consciousness. So contributing and adding value to the collective consciousness will, of course, help humanity as well as you connected inside of that collective consciousness. But radical humility is a great practice. Practicing, and it's tied right into the practice of ending fear, tied into the ego, understanding humility of asking for help. Not only the humility of understanding we're connected to others and providing value and service, but the true humility of knowing what you don't know and finding someone that knows it. The true humility of finding out what you don't know and finding someone that knows it and asking them for help. That's true humility. Power of Intention, Samir, that's Wayne Dyer, my favorite. Thank you, Monica. Appreciate it. Let me know where you guys are calling from. This is a good question. Is a Rolex investment worth it? I will tell you, if you have it pre-sold for profit, no doubt. Any item you can find and pre-sell it for profit is a good investment. If you can raise the statistical success of you buying something that's oversold, and if you can have it pre-sold for a margin, then for sure it's a great investment. Otherwise, look at time and risk tolerance in order to effectuate whether something's a good investment of yours. Always seek more than one person's advice about that sits in a space and expertise for that investment. Get more than one perspective on it. You have plenty of time. You're never rushed. There's always more investment opportunities. So tell yourself, I don't need this one, and find and do the due diligence, vet it appropriately in order to effectuate the best investments. Miami's in the house, Jen. Great to see you. Totec, my buddy, what's going on all the way? Here we go. Let's get one more question. And speaking of, here we go. Does she have a YouTube? Yes. Cake by Courtney has a YouTube. Look it up. What stocks should we be looking at during this market crash? Instead of looking for stocks, look for experts in the industries or experts in a company that can tell you if it's oversold. I know that sounds simple, but years of investing, years of awareness, it's much easier instead of learning about everything. And just find a company or an industry and find the expert that can tell you when it's oversold. Someone with 30, 40. I'm going to be launching a series this week, Life Secrets, The Secret to Life. And all the wisest people on earth are going to come on and give you everyday expertise, situational knowledge and experience from living 80, 90, 100 years, and allow us to see human nature at its best and how it affects through change and combined and compressed uncertainty. What a day, Fez 247. What a day. It's the best day of my life. How about yours? Let's make it. If it's not, let's see here. How to stay calm and be ready for death if it comes as an essential worker during pandemic. Wow. First of all, not ready for death. I'm not afraid of it, right? Going into the practice of ending fear. Not afraid of death, but I'm not ready for it. So what we want to do is utilize the ego to protect ourselves, to reduce any risk and the risks of others, so that they can experience this human existence in the spiritual context of what we are. So make sure that you understand that, that we cannot take our existence for granted. So we must protect ourselves with our ego and allow ourselves. I can't believe it, but the Ben Baller is in the house. Oh yeah, let's see here. The amazing, incredible entrepreneur, motivator, inspirator, and author. Let's see, where is he at? Oh, I pinned him instead of joined him. That was clever. There we go. He's here. Hey, what's
How you
going
doing,
on?
man?
You are the coolest of the cool. What's going on?
Shit, I wish, man. I'm Mr. Washed Up, man. You know me.
Washed up. No. Don't even call it a comeback. We've been here for years, buddy.
Yeah. Look at that LL reference, man. You're cooler than I thought, dude.
They asked me. What are you doing during this time?
It's crazy. I am launching an enormous, probably the biggest campaign of my entire lifetime ever. Obviously, I'm a jeweler, so De Beers is pretty much the Apple, or even beyond that. If there's even something, they're the Bentley, Rolls Royce, Lamborghini of everything. They're the largest diamond company in the world, and they are doing a campaign on natural diamonds, and they chose a few jewelers across the globe, and I'm one of them. And the campaign drops in they just dropped it about 2-3 minutes ago, and I'm gonna post it in about an hour or two or so. Pretty big though, it's De Beers. It's enormous because coming from my background and things like that, I'm not really the typical person they would choose. You know what I mean? Bald head, tattoos, bad attitude. That's not really I don't
You got a
fit the mold
badass
for De
attitude.
Beers,
That's why. But you got a badass attitude. You're not bad attitude. It's different. It's different. Now, I want to talk about something because both of us have built our careers around celebrities, athletes, entertainers, high net wealth individuals. And people call those coincidences in our lives luck. And I've been around it way too long and with way too many people, like a Ben Baller, that the cream rises to the top. And when you treat people with kindness and you have quality content. So a jeweler, quality content for a jeweler is your jewelry, right?
Yeah.
But it's also your person, right? Because you're putting your love and intention into what you're doing for these people. And a lot of time the perception, especially with jewelry, which goes by an emotional attachment, is dictated by your personality or energy that you put into the jewelry, right? Because jewelry is a conductive piece of material. It holds
Yeah,
energy, right? I
for
wear
sure.
my jewelry for energy. What can you tell people from your experience? Because so many people want to take the shortcut and be like, oh, you know, I want to be Magic Johnson's jeweler. I want to be his designer. I want to be his agent. You know, it doesn't happen that way, right? So what are some of the things that have allowed you to develop those relationships through what you do?
You know what, man? Of course, you know, the trial and error. Some people, not everyone gets to be like Kobe. You know, not everyone gets to be 17 and going to the NBA, go right to the pros, and it was a God gift, and just boom, and they figure it out as they're going along. And what I mean is, some people, very few are chosen to whatever field and profession they choose in life, whether it be playing basketball, whether it be an agent, whether it be a trash man, whether it be a jeweler, whether it be a businessman. You know, there's going to be a chosen less than a handful of people who jump right in, and they were just godsend, you know, and they just get it. Now, for the other people, it's not just hard work, it's, you know, dedication, it's a lot of other things. But the thing you said that was funny is, you know, people say, oh, you know, you're so lucky in this. And I used to say it just to be not, because I'm not really the most humble person, right? I always tell people, hey, my name is Ben Baller, not Ben Humble, you know. But I will say this: none of this shit that's happened in the last 30 or 40 years is by accident. Especially the success in the last 10 years, the super success in the last 3 years, none of it's been by accident. I truly believe. Sometimes when it's like, damn, man, this went my way, this feels so good. It's not really that. It's that everything was meant to be this way. You know, I set this all up. Some of these blessings and these successes that I have in the last, you know, 10 years, whatever it may be, they were 15, 20 years in the making. You know, I put work in 15, 20 years ago. You know, I set up, you know, a blueprint literally 25, 26 years ago when I got into, you know, into business as a professional, as an adult. And, you know, I would say I didn't start really even understanding what it was to make money until 95, maybe, right? 95, 96, I started making some good money and everything. I was like, okay, boom. And it took me to lose it twice. I was completely flat broke by the time I was 30, twice. And I said, fuck this, I'm not gonna be broke again. I refuse, period, for this to happen. So the way I looked at it was, how many people have one successful career? Not very many, you know? I mean, there's some people like, well, actually there is. So if you really, really do the real numbers, there really isn't that many people. There is that many people who have a successful career. To have 3 successful careers in 3 different fields, you know, again, I don't think this is by accident. This is not by luck at this point, because if I'm so goddamn lucky, you know, this is just, it's just, no, it's not gonna. I understood what I was good at. And I truly feel like, look, man, the passion I have for jewelry, making jewelry and getting better at my craft, you know, I started in 2005. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing. In 2008, I was like, okay, let me figure this out. Then the recession hit. I'm like, oh, great. You know, the worst recession we've ever seen, my parents have ever seen. You know, I'm 47, and my parents came here in the early 60s. It's like, they've never seen a recession like this. And then you're talking about 08, 09, parts of 2010. It's like, why would anyone buy something, a luxury item, during the recession? You know, you got to sit there and, okay, how am I going to adapt to this? Or am I going to give up? What am I going to do? I was like, fuck that shit. You know, I'm going to figure something out. You know, I've been making this jewelry for $25, $50, $100,000. I need to figure out how to make jewelry for $1,500 to $5,000 and accommodate. And some of these people will be like, fuck this. This is going to be worth something. I'm one of the very few jewelers in the world, I think, where you buy something and it means something. Besides seeing that turquoise Tiffany box, you know, women see that, they're like, okay, cool. Now the kids today, you know, you would think more of my demographic or my audience would be the people that are on my age. It's not. It's such a wide spectrum of people. And with that said, you know, I learned how to get through just, you know, all that adversity during that recession. I was like, all right, listen, man, no matter what happens out of this, I gotta be, and I gotta act as if I am the Michael Jordan, the Kobe Bryant, the president of all jewelers, right? So I tell people, if you work at Subway, if that's what you want to do, at least try to be the fucking president of the company. Do you know what I mean? Be the best salesperson. You know, rise up in the company, become the general manager. You know, boom. Then own a franchise, own a couple. Whatever you do, you feel like some people are like, oh, I got no skills. I don't know what I want to do. That's bullshit. If you could add 2 + 2 = 4, and you can, I mean, you have some common sense, I feel like you can go out there and do something with your life. You know, whether it is, I mean, again, if you're delivering newspapers, whatever, be the boss of delivering newspapers. End up running the business. There's no reason why you can't. I just don't think people really have the drive, and a lot of people are scared. And you're gonna have to fall on your ass. You know what I mean? If I didn't fall on my ass, I'd have no idea how far the ground was. Let me get the farthest fuck away from that ground. I need to be way. So when I fall, it's gonna fall. I'll be like, whoa, you think you fell? No, I fell from 50 stories. You know, like that's where I feel like I took it into where I want people to know none of this was by accident. None of this was easy, and you can't just walk in and be like, all right, well, hey man, look it. I want to be David Meltzer. I want to be Ben Ball. No, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? You have to put it in. And slowly but surely, you realize how short life is, and you chip away at those years, and you get those, you know, that veteran belt, you know, and, you know, you flourish. And then, you become that guy.
Yeah, there's 3 things there that I hear from a lot of successful people. Is number 1, there's no overnight success, right? Even Kobe went pro at 17. But if you knew what he was doing at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, and LeBron too, right? I mean, there's a lot of work involved. Two, not only is there no overnight success, that all one common denominator that I hear from everyone, and you really represent this, is that you're somebody, as you talk through the subway scenario, the garbage man scenario, you have a desire that you must be what you can be, and that allows you, right? That fuels you to do wherever you are, wherever they're going to put you, you're going to be the one that works that, and you're going to end up, it's going to be your story, right? You're not a victim. It's going to be the Ben Baller story. This is what happened because I must be what I can be. You're on the pursuit of something since you've been a young age, and you're willing to give it all up to learn the lessons because you know you can get right back up to the 50th story and then move to the 100th. The one thing that's interesting though, a lot of people, they look at you and they're like, well, that guy's so not only lucky, but he loves what he does. It's his passion. And I'm trying to tell people, nobody, Dave Meltzer, Ben Baller, we don't love 100% of the stuff that we've had to do or we do right now. But what we do differently is we learn to love it, right? If someone told me I had to shovel shit with my hands 6 hours a day to get what I wanted, I'd learn to love it. I have that power, my perception. How have you learned to love all the bullshit that you've had to put up with in order to effectuate the success that you have?
You know what's crazy, Dave, is I've done so many fucking interviews, and it's crazy that I've done a lot of entrepreneurial shows and things, and I've done, you know, mainstream media press from like the Tonight Show to like Breakfast Club and things like that, and I've never been asked that question. And what a goddamn good question, because everyone thinks, wow, man, you're gonna go meet Justin Bieber, you're gonna go meet Michael Jackson, you know, that's really cool. Actually, man, it's really not, man. You know, imagine, I grew up, you know, thinking I'm the shit. You know, I'm the first Asian in my university to play football, have a scholarship in college and played football, you know, and I have an ego because I'm the Asian guy. Then you get to that level and you get to that playing field and you realize, wow, man, I got dudes who are fucking 150 pounds bigger than me and they're just as fast as me. This is crazy. So the guys that are my size are smoking me. I'm getting killed. I'm getting crushed. And it's like, all right, why did I put myself here? Because I need to be against the best in this field. All right, well, this might not be for me, but you get to that level, and every time I elevated, I'm like, wow, man, there was so many other people that were so huge. And when you deal with that level of playing, whether it be acting, singing, rapping, sports, you're dealing with massive egos. I don't care how humble somebody says they are. At the end of the day, you catch someone on the wrong day, you never know what you're going to catch somebody, right? Like, hey, man, come bring in my chain. What are you talking about, bro? You got the wrong guy, man. You know what I mean? Now, somebody else might sit there and be like, all right, well, I don't care, you know, whatever. I'm just going to go there and let him talk to me crazy or whatever else. Even if you aren't successful, you have to realize that everyone's got to be treated like a human being, you know? And when I'm dealing with a lot of celebrities and things, I think that people are like, hey, man, you got to love dealing with these people. You know, it's a lot of waiting around. It's a lot of egos, a lot of everything else, you know, and at the same time, with me having such a big ego, for me to humble myself is kind of crazy, right? To get the money and get the job done. But, you know, I think I've fallen in love with the traveling aspect of me being able to be. I really feel like, look, man, making money is cool, and get me wrong. Look, man, it took so long for me to understand this. I think being worldly is the most important tool to anything, man. Me understanding what it's like to be in Singapore, to be in China, Korea, New York, Chicago, Brazil, Canada, understand currencies everywhere, understand cultures. Being a worldly person is what made me even better at my trade, because I didn't think about just America. I was like, no, fuck this. I don't want to be the biggest jeweler in America. I want to be the biggest jeweler on the earth. I want to knock down Ann Curtis, who's the biggest celebrity in the Philippines. I want to make sure I get G-Dragon, who's the biggest pop star in Korea. I want to get this person here in China, here. And I was like, you know what? I want to be globally known. I want my Ben Baller brand to be known. So people are like, oh, you know, I heard of that guy before, you know? And with that said, you know, I used to hate traveling. How crazy is this? I used to get so much anxiety. I couldn't fly to Las Vegas from Los Angeles. It's a fucking 45-minute flight. I'm taking 16-hour flights to Dubai, you know, 20-hour flight to Africa, wherever it may be. I started to understand, hey, man, I'm doing this to leave a legacy. I want my kids to be like, yo, my dad was pretty cool. You know, he did this and this. He traveled here, you know, took 118 flights last year. And I just learned to love meeting new people. Even though I had this anxiety about dealing with egos, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be water, man. I'm just going to flow with everyone and be water. And this is what it was. And, you know, it's not easy because, again, you have to put that energy out there. Like, yes, I'm the shit and you are the shit too. And that's why we're working together on a piece. You're not buying a piece from me. We're collaborating on a jewelry project. Do you understand? You're going to be a part of this project. Do you understand? Okay, cool. And that's how I let people feel like they're a part of it. And it's not just them buying something from me. We're creating something together. I'm giving it to you, right? And it's like, yo, man, I tell all the new celebrities that are like younger kids that are killing it. These guys are 23, buying Bugattis and buying $100,000 chains for me. I'm like, yo, bro, the jewelry is free. You're paying for all the stories I'm about to tell you. You know what I mean? And all the experience in my life. That's what you're paying for. You're paying for the experience to deal with Ben Baller. You know, the chain is free, man. And, you know, I've fallen in love with all the things I didn't like before. And I did it for my legacy.
You know, so interesting because I've obviously dealt with a lot of celebrities and athletes. And I would start off with young rookies when I was working with Lee. And I'd say, look, you heard of the 10 Commandments? And all the kids would say, of course. I said, they don't call it the 10 Demandments, right? So don't demand anything from me or God, right? You got to command the universe. They're called commandments. A commandment means to work with. And so you can command Ben Baller, but you can't demand him. And, you know, having that understanding and awareness of what our own egos are, but also the egos that we're working with is so important because we got to have forgiveness in order to effectuate what we want. Last thing, you've done a lot of work on your ego, you know, and I'm going to be teaching that tomorrow. I do a training every Friday, but what piece of advice would you give when someone's like, man, how do I start down that path, that journey of learning about my own ego?
You know, what's crazy is I think around 2005, right? 2005 is when I understood, okay, look, man, it's not necessarily okay to be an asshole. If you acknowledge it, that's the first step. Now, compassion. Do you feel bad about somebody doing, you know, not doing so well in life? Do you feel bad about these things and certain things? And I was like, yeah. One of my mentors, who's a very successful tattoo artist, he's a global brand. He's very famous. He's the one who got me in the jeweler chair and put me to go out there. And I didn't really know anything about the trade of jewelry. I just knew I liked shiny things. You know, he's the one who pushed me into that thing when I was end up working for him, when I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself. And he said, you ever been sitting in traffic before? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, you got really bad road rage, don't you, Ben? And I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate LA traffic. It's the worst. And I was like, what are you getting at? He goes, you ever been behind somebody and the guy just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing? And you honk your horn like, get the fuck out of the way. You know, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and I get upset. He goes, hey, Ben, check this out. Did you ever sit and think that maybe that person lost his dad? Maybe his wife left him. Maybe he just lost his job. Maybe you don't know what the fuck is going through that person's brain. And I sat because I respected my mentor so much. I thought about it and I was like, damn, man, I never looked at it like that. because maybe my wife cheated on me or whatever, blah, blah. I'm going to be in the car and I'm going to crash into 15 people. You don't know what the fuck's going on. So you never know. And it could be something else. But when I put that in perspective, I was like, damn, man, that person could be really having a shitty ass day. And me, I'm just trying to get to my Starbucks a little quicker. And it's really not that deep. You know, I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths and really not think about this guy anymore. And when I understood compassion, I understood how to make my ego come down. And I was like, all right, man, look, man, not everyone has the same situation. There's people who are more successful than me, who've been through more, trauma than I have, or have a crazier story and this and that. And so I always just approach every situation like, hey, man, this person, unless that person's a complete dick and deserves it, yeah, they're going to get that energy back, you know? But I think that was the best way for me to deal with ego is having compassion and understanding, like, hey, man, some people might be, and even someone who's an asshole, I'll be like, this guy, maybe he was fucking, maybe he was bullied his life, and maybe his parents treated him like shit, maybe his upbringing sucked. All right, let me just chill out and let me get this done, and let's and I try to do the solution. If that don't work, then
I love it, man. Well, I'm launching the Ferocious Buddha brand because you are a ferocious Buddha like me. So I love it. Let's do this again, Ben, man. I really
for sure, Dave. Thank you, man.
You're awesome. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, boss.
Take care.
All right.
Yeah, true. He is a ferocious Buddha. I think I should just use him. I've been trying to figure out what put my face on the Buddha. That's the ferocious Buddha. Anyway, compassion. I'm gonna give everyone a quick 2 steps to compassion. 1 is understanding. 2 is pray for someone's happiness. If you can go right to understanding what somebody is at, like he said, maybe his wife left him, maybe he's having a bad day, maybe his mom just died. When you go to understanding and then pray for someone's happiness, you would leave all ego from the situation. Although you can utilize your ego, as I'm going to explain tomorrow, as a ferocious Buddha, right? Someone that is not sitting around just meditating all day and night, but actually taking action, using their free will, which involves your ego, your free will, in order to effectuate and to dominate and to make your possibilities, your probabilities, and then get out of your way and allow your probabilities to be your perspective and your reality through strategy, discipline, and awareness. But in order to get to the probability, to get to the inspiration, the motivation and the inspiration takes ego. I'm going to get involved with that tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern time. It has been one extraordinary day. I want to thank 2 completely different people, the angelic Cakes by Courtney and the ferocious Buddha, Ben Baller. Thank you, everyone, for your great questions. Please join me tomorrow, 8 a.m. But most importantly, ego training tomorrow, road to revenue, edge goodness out of your life. That's what the ego will do. We're going to bring it back in. We're going to make a stronger draw from the light lessons and love that everybody deserves. Let's share it. Please, everybody, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. Thanks. Have a great day.